There is a lot of difference between my preliminary task and the final magazine. The most noticeable difference is probably the main image on the front cover. When taking the image for my front cover of my preliminary magazine, I didn't take care of the framing and I didn't use a high quality camera. This meant that when I placed the image onto the Photoshop document, the picture wasn't up to a high standard. This isn't good for my magazine, as the main image is what people notice first when looking at the magazine. When taking the picture for my final magazine, I made sure to use a much higher quality camera to take care of the framing of the picture. I also made sure to place lots of mise-en-scène like drumsticks and a guitar which relate to the rock genre. I placed these alongside the image to highlight the fact that it was a rock magazine. I also made sure to have good lighting that complements my photo, which I didn't care to do in my preliminary task. In my preliminary, I had many different colours of text on the front cover, which looked a bit overwhelming for the reader. This caused me to change the colours that I used on my actual magazine. I kept to a simple colour scheme and carefully chose certain words to highlight, which were important and the ones that I wanted my readers to look at. For example, reunion. As well as this, I used colours which blended in with the background of the photo so they weren't legible on my preliminary task. This taught me to take care about the colours I chose and to make sure that they would be legible against the background when the magazine is printed. There is no institution presented throughout my magazine, which I decided to amend on the full product. This is obvious through my inclusion of the IPC Media logo on the barcode of my magazine. As well as this, I included a synergy with Ticketmaster on the contents page. I included a lot of dead space on my preliminary contents page, which wasn't very visually appealing and didn't look professional. I took care to make sure that this wasn't the case for my final magazine and organised the page so that it was full of content and photos, however not too overwhelming for the reader. In my preliminary task, I tried to keep the text, borders and photos all in line, which was difficult as I didn't understand how to use guidelines and rulers on Photoshop. While making my final magazine, I learned how to use guidelines through YouTube and articles on the internet. This immensely helped me out on my final magazine as I had many borders and images to line up. One thing that I kept in both my preliminary and final magazine was the subscription box, however I improved it a lot in my final magazine. I did this by choosing a more appropriate and neater font and also including images of old magazines. Overall, this made my magazine look much more professional and imitated real life magazines like Kerrang and Q.